What's your name?
Miri.
Pretty name for a pretty young woman.
Pretty?
Very pretty.
That feeling when you are a pedophile.
The Enterprise has picked up a strangely Earth-like distress signal despite being light years from Earth, and it turns out the signal is coming from a planet almost exactly identical to it. I guess the cosmological principle isn't taught at Starfleet Academy. Hey look, Florida! A landing party beams down consisting of the 3 principals, 2 redshirts who somehow don't die during this episode, and Rand for some reason? Did they think they were gonna run into a coffee pouring emergency? Ha! Zing! The gang meanders around dystopian Mayberry, it's true, look it up, and find a tricycle when suddenly a flesh zombie runs out and attacks Bones, quoting those creepy seagulls from Finding Nemo.
Mine.
The zombie starts crying because his trachea is broken and then starts having a seizure. He dies. Bones scans him and says his metabolic rate is unusually high. The landing party hears footsteps and runs after them.
Run.
They break into a dilapidated building and find a little girl hiding in a closet. She begs them not to hurt her, calling them grups. She says her name is Miri and explains that the grups, grown-ups, get it, of her world all got sick, became violent animals, and then died.
Pretty name for a pretty young woman. Very pretty.
Step away from the underage girl.
Spock and the red shirts poke around, and it's clear there are others on this planet. They get pelted with rocks and hear some children singing demonically. Rule of thumb, if children show up in Star Trek, it's a bad sign. Usually. Kirk gets Miri to show them where the hospital is by, well, it's Kirk.
I like that name.
Good. I like yours too. I like you.
Jim, she is 14! Okay, the actress was actually 19, but still. A purple lesion appears on Kirk's hand and Miri panics, saying that that was the first symptom to the madness that killed the Grups, and that he and the others will share the same fate. Sure enough, the others develop lesions except for Spock.
When you're old, it covers you like anything.
Gee, thanks, kid. Now stuck on the planet, they discovered that 300 years prior, the Earth-2 scientists had been trying to develop a method to elongate life, but it inadvertently created a pathogen that wiped out everyone post-pubescence. They also quickly realized that the children of this planet, since they certainly weren't making children themselves, must be centuries old. The longevity treatment had worked, but only on kids. The other children, or onlys, led by this 15-year-old going on 45-year-old boy, are suspicious of the landing party and make plans to steal the team's communicators so they can't bring more grups to hurt them. Miri brings Kirk to the onlys' hideout in an abandoned toy shop where another freshly mutated child attacks them. She dies. Miri panics again because the girl had only been slightly older than her. Back at the hospital, Spock estimates they have a week before the virus drives them mad and kills them. While Spock and Bones work tirelessly to develop a cure, the onlys create a distraction so they can steal the communicators. Without them, the team can't contact the ship to help them run calculations. Tensions start to run high as time ticks by, and to add more stakes, Earth-2 is running out of food, which means the children are going to starve soon. Seriously? It's been 300 years and now their food supply is an issue? Janice drops some beakers and throws a tantrum, running out of the room. Kirk goes to comfort her, and she laments the fact that he's never, checked out her legs? Honey, your boss not being a pervert is a good thing. Kirk hugs her to calm her down, and Miri sees. She gets jealous and runs off to the onlys to convince them to kidnap Rand, knowing that Kirk will come after her.
Bonk, bonk on the head.
Bonk, bonk! Bonk, bonk!
My, but these children are excited to commit murder! Bones and Spock have a breakthrough and develop a cure, but they can't figure out the dosage without the ship's computer. Kirk and his child bride have an argument about what's happened to Rand, and Kirk reveals to her that she and all her friends will die unless they can cure the disease. And the process has already begun in Miri. She gives in and brings Kirk to the onlys to get back Rand and the communicators. The onlys chant at him, the children of the Corn up the creepiness factor to 11 and start trying to actually beat Kirk to death, while this little girl looks on with a calm smile on her face. Seriously, what the fuck? And did Kirk just throw this fucking kid on the ground? Oh, never mind. He appealed to them by pointing out that they've become just as violent like the very grups they feared, and they give back the communicators. Bones, unable to wait any longer, goes rogue and tests a humongous dosage on himself. He passes out and everyone thinks he's dead, but then his lesions disappear and everything's okay. Spock shakes his head like, crazy bastard, you did it. The team returns to the ship safe and sound, leaving the kids with fresh supplies and a medical team to look after them, and the episode ends with the worst exchange possible.
Miri, she really loved you, you know.
I never get involved with older women, Yeoman.
Ew, ew, ew! So fun fact, this little girl here is actually Shatner's daughter. In fact, a lot of the cast and crew's kids are in here. And also, Phil Morse is in here somewhere. He played Jahn Jones on Smallville and this guy in Seinfeld, and also provided the voice for Dr. Sweet in Atlantis the Lost Empire. The allusions to Peter Pan should be obvious. I mean, it is a planet full of essentially immortal children and no adults to supervise them. We have a Wendy, a Peter, a gang of lost boys. In a way, Kirk and his crew act as Captain Hook and the pirates, invading their home and threatening their way of life. Only in this version, it's the children who are the savage ones. When the BBC got the rights to syndication in 1970, this episode got banned from airing until the 90s, along with The Empath, Whom Gods Destroy, and Plato's Stepchildren because, quote, we feel that they deal most unpleasantly with the already unpleasant subjects of madness, torture, sadism, and disease, end quote. Really? That's why they banned this episode? Not because of...
Pretty?
Very pretty.
Yeah, this episode makes me uncomfortable.